Now let us explore some inbuilt tools in Excel that can help us with analysis. To begin with, let me introduce you to the goal seek function in Excel, which will be available under the data menu or the tab. Under this we have what if analysis, and under what if analysis we can find the goal seek tool. Now as it indicates over here, it helps you find the right input for the value you want. Let us take an example. I want to set up a shop that sells chairs, the office chairs, and based on my analysis, I feel that $50 for each chair is a good fit. It's a cost-effective solution and quite comfortable chairs that I'm trying to sell. For this year, I intend to make revenue of $10,000. Now, I have a target over here and I have a unit rate or the selling price for each chair. Now, I would like to know how many chairs should I sell in order to achieve the target revenue of $10,000. Now, technically, we would do something like 10,000 divided by 50 and we get this value. But let's say we are using this in a model over here, and this should be an input value and not contain a formula. Rather, here we should have a formula which indicates sales volume multiplied by selling price per unit. This is the formula given over here. Now, based on this formula, I need to find out the value over here that can help me reach this, or rather change this 0 to 10,000. So for this, we go to what if analysis, goal seek. Now there are three major components for this tool. First, you need to have a formula over here that can help you display the desired result or the final target output that you want. Second, you need to know what value you need. So firstly, let us set the cell which has the formula. It's this cell I'm looking at. I want this value to be at 10,000. Now, the third component is by changing with cell. That means of the three cells that are over here for calculating your total revenue, which cell would you like to change to get the desired result? So I say by changing the sale volume. So let me repeat that. You set the target for this particular cell, that is D5, and I want this to be at 10,000. Now in order to reach to 10,000, what number should be entered here? That's exactly what we will ask the goal seek tool. So I click OK, and you see Excel automatically does the calculation here. Now if you are happy with the solution and you want to retain this, click OK. And if you do not want to retain this, you can click on cancel, and whatever number that you see over here will be lost and it will be back to what it was earlier. Let me show you. I click on cancel and it's gone. But if I click on goal seek again, set this cell to 10,000 by changing this value. Mind you, let me remind you that the selling price is fixed at 50 and the volume is something to be determined to reach the target of 10,000. So I click OK, and here it is. Excel has determined it to be at 200. I click OK and we accept the values. Now let's take another example. We'll take it a notch higher. I would like to determine the break-even sale. So for this, we have, let's say, the variable cost. Now, whenever you manufacture any product, there would be some fixed cost and variable cost associated with it. Let's say, for example, it's a cookie manufacturing machine. The cost involved towards running the machine is fixed. Okay. Now, whether you must be baking 10 cookies or 20 cookies, it does not matter. If the machine has a capacity to bake 50 cookies at a time, now until the 50 cookies, the cost involved towards running the machine is fixed. You need that much of a fixed amount of electricity, which is there. But what varies is the quantity of raw materials or the dough or the yeast or the flavoring agents, water, and anything that you would add to those cookies to get 10 cookies or 20 cookies there. That's a variable cost. But the fixed cost is the cost involved towards running the machine, which has capacity to bake 50 at a time. So here, let's say the cost for manufacturing or producing each chair, the variable cost is 30. So with which? So the contribution would be selling price minus the variable cost. Now here we have the variable cost as 30 per unit. I multiply it with the total sale volume, and we have 6,000 as the variable cost. Now what about the contribution? It would be the total revenue minus the variable cost, or you can also have it as contribution multiplied by the sales volume. It gives you the same result. Now let's assume the fixed cost to be at 1,500. Now profit would be your contribution minus the fixed cost, and this is your profit from this business by selling 200 units of chairs at $50 for each unit. Now, I'm not sure whether I would be able to sell 200 units, but I would like to know how many units should I sell in order to reach to a point of no profit, no loss. You see, there is a variable cost of $30 for each chair, which is absolutely fine. So the more the number of chairs, the more the cost over here. Lesser the chairs produced, lesser the cost here. But the fixed cost is there as it is. So now I need to find out that volume, or how many chairs should I sell in order to cover up this fixed cost as well as the variable cost. So here I'll make use of the goal seek tool. I put goal seek set value. Now this is the value that I'm looking at, the D9. Let me clear this. So I click here. I want this to be 0 because when I say the profit is 0, that means I have breaking even. That means it's a break even. So no profit, no loss. So now by changing cell, I want to change the sale volume because I'm not sure if I would be able to sell 200. But at least to maintain no profit, no loss, how many chairs should I sell at the rate of $50 for each unit? I click OK. And it says 75. The moment I sell 75 chairs at $50 for each unit, I earn a revenue of $3,750. Now the variable cost is at 30 per unit. So for 75 units, it's $2,250. Let me click OK and show you. It's for 75 chairs, it's $2,250. Then contribution is the difference between the two. And fixed cost is already given at 1,500. So the difference between the contribution and fixed cost comes down to 0. So if I manage to sell 75 chairs, I return with no profits and no loss. And that's how we can make the best use of the goal seek function here.